Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream / recording of Hearthstone. Today is Mother's Day, May 14th, 2017, and we've got just a little bit of work to do today, I think. I think we're going to get pretty lucky. Let's trade out this 140. Win 2 games with a Paladin and Warrior. Play 50 Hunter class cards, deal 100 damage to any number of heroes, any enemy heroes. The pop-up there has a special line of dialogue saying specifically that you can only get certain numbers of things, most quests done in Tavern Brawls and play modes, not friend challenges. Who do we have online? We have Loki online, so maybe he'll catch the notification, maybe he won't, and a couple other people aren't really online. And that's it. Okay, so let's start easy with Hunter class cards today. Now, as it is, let's see, I could do either secrets or a beasts, and I guess I want to just we'll do a little ranked secrets play in wild. Maybe we'll try it in standard. Not doing a ton with standard still, just not enough room to build decks for standard. I almost might believe the argument that you would win more, or I would win more if I played standard decks, but I'm not sure I'm really ready to believe that. Rather very little news today. Most of that is probably because of E3 is right around the corner, and what I imagine will happen is we'll find out quickly that there will be a bunch of announcements at E3. However, one announcement that won't be here at E3 2017 is Halo 6. For the Halo series, as a person who hasn't played any of the games and has only been watching from a very outside perspective, I suspect they're having trouble finding somebody who's passionate about the Halo series. The players most certainly are passionate about it, and Microsoft in general wants to make it a franchise, but I don't feel that. I guess I could kill this, but I'm not going to. I don't feel that the teams they have working on Halo right now really want to do anything new or different with it. I'm not sure Microsoft really has an idea of the story. In general, the Gears of War story is kind of the perfect story for a game like that, because it's a stupid macho fest, just an action movie plot, whereas Halo has added a bunch of spoilerish things that I won't talk about, although why? It's not like there's been a new Halo anytime soon, but it's had a lot of twists while still focusing the gameplay completely around just running around and gunning and laser sorting people. It is also going to become more and more difficult for Halo to succeed as you have things like Counter-Strike on PC, the Quake Champions is going to be a game somewhat similar to that, and as some of the older games that Halo borrowed from come back into newer versions, it's got to differentiate itself in some way. Master Chief is not a super interesting character. In fact, what's rather interesting is Master Chief is the exact opposite of Samus Aran from Metroid. you have two characters that are in a suit of armor, and one of them, in the form of Samus Aran, is elevated to through mostly just fan thought fiction of who that character is. It does eventually, in a, I would say maybe at the beginning of Metroid Prime, they start to put a little bit of story and backstory for Samus Aran, but it's not until Metroid Prime 3, or was it the game after Metroid Prime 3, where you actually have her in conversations and such, and people hated that version of her and that story and that characterization of her completely. It's true for a lot of Nintendo characters in particular. Mario is not really a character as much as he is just an ideal, or an idea in people's head. And in comparison, Master Chief is the opposite of Samus Aran, because it's similarly a character that is just an armor, but because we never really see him take his armor off, or there's nothing really interesting about the fact if he took his armor off, they fell off the truck. There's no real fan fiction there. It's as far as I know, again, as somebody who hasn't played any of the Halo games, Master Chief is just this genetically engineered Spartan warrior character that all realities, all that is just kind of the best of the best, and he's good at killing and nothing else. He is very much like the Doom character without Doom guy saying anything interesting or funny, or any of the other old school shooter characters when you couldn't really write story or have voice files or dialogue. So when Halo as a series tried to even put any actual story in the game, it all came on the back of like Halo Wars, I think. Not Halo Wars, but there was a side Halo game that didn't even star Master Chief that came out. Wish I could have done more with that. And then as far as the game, you have to to make Halo 6 good, you have to build into it the concepts that didn't really exist in the previous Halo games, but were attempted to achieve. So you're gonna want good vehicle control, which Halo I don't think ever really did. You're gonna want to have fast running and gunning and laser sorting. You're gonna want to have the ability to jump and reach high areas via jump pads. Job's done. What they desperately need to do, and I'm not sure they're actually going to do it, is introduce 2 to 3 new styles of enemies and spread out the worlds and spread out the types of interactions you run into. I think Halo both suffers and succeeds in the same measure for not having really any puzzle sections or any side missions, whereas you have something like Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series, where it's just they added system after system after system, all mostly designed around the concept of just wasting your time and making games longer. Halo seems to be, you have some driving sections and you have some running and gunning sections. And then the multiplayer was the thing that really sold it. And I think you could probably do better multiplayer. How is Halo's multiplayer going to compare to something like Overwatch, where you have character hero classes that have special abilities? Plus, multiplayer in general is getting stretched further and further apart because there's people playing things like Rocket League and other non-shooter based games. And you can't really put a zombies mode in Halo. You can certainly put a wave-based mode, and that'll be as good as the variety of enemies. The skulls idea has been there. It's alright. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's kind of ridiculous, I would say, the skulls idea, because it requires you to do something really difficult by carrying a skull, I think, to the end of the levels. I think that's how it works. Then you turn on those skulls and it just makes the levels more difficult. Anyways, so that's not a major selling point. I don't even know if in Halo levels there are the occasional like secret pathways or anything like that. It's a rather basic game from the outside. That's what it looks like to me. And when you have things like Titanfall and other things that have come out and done things better and different, it's hard to figure out what to do there. I think I'd almost want to play the Ghost in the Shell first-person shooter, which is kind of a nothing game that hasn't picked up any real popularity. But I think I'd rather play that because there's at least the anime and the manga behind that, where you could work and get more abilities. But if I was really gonna pick something, I think I'd take Overwatch, the way more popular thing right now. You're gonna get way more support on Overwatch with its loot boxes. I suppose you could potentially make the argument that that Halo might actually be better because it doesn't have loot boxes, but who's to say Halo 6 doesn't? So that's a real long conversation from actually not very a well-informed person about Halo 6 is not being shown. It does open the question and make you wonder, what does Microsoft announce at E3? Which might be fun. Let's see. Microsoft at E3, my predictions. It's all going to be about the Project Scorpio with a middle point about Minecraft coming out for the Switch and Minecraft in general if there's any new announcements. I was wrong, so I need to put out a correction. The Minecraft did come out for the Switch. I got some bad news there from a bad source, so apparently employees that work for Mojang still can't be trusted, and that explains quite clearly why it was being underreported, in my opinion, previously, that he had said it wasn't coming out for the Switch is because he was trolling people. So, yeah. Minecraft comes out, Microsoft comes out at E3. I bet they tout a bunch of numbers at the beginning, saying that the Xbox One has sold so much and done this and done that, and it's all great and it's super successful. And then that probably transitions directly into, and building off that success, we are proud to announce the Xbox One version 2, or the Xbox One Scorpio. They can't call it really the 1S. They could call it the Xbox 2. They could call it anything else. It would be kind of funny if they got away from the Xbox name, but I don't think they'd do that. They'll talk about the hardware for probably around 20 minutes in particular, just indicating that the X1 Scorpio, the Project Scorpio is going to be the most powerful version of the Xbox One, or most powerful console ever, with its 6 teraflops of processing, or whatever it is. And they're going to say that number over and over again because they were really, really focused on getting the Project Scorpio to be a really, really fast thing. They're going to push 4K gaming. They probably will try and push, if I was to guess, they're probably going to try and push the 4K movie and 4K streaming a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if they mention their vast digital library and try to push more digital sales a little bit, but it won't be a major focus. But what games are they going to really announce? Because I think they'll probably spend 30 to 40 minutes talking about the hardware, and then they'll say, what about the games? And then they'll probably show a trailer of a bunch of games that potentially have been held back from being announced, but will get announced right there in that trailer. And then I imagine they'll spend the rest of the show talking about that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they, at that point, did the middle interval and talked about Minecraft and had somebody else come on the stage to talk about Minecraft, so that the main speaker can have a break. And then they will probably have other teams on rare occasion come on and talk about their same games. Like, Microsoft could buy IO Interactive. There's no real indication that that would really happen, but it's certainly something. And then they could say they could say Hitman is going to be, Hitman Season 2 will be exclusive to PC and Xbox, and try to get that as a new exclusive. That would be a possibility. I've got a new follower sent me a happy face. Hello, Gabriel. I imagine they could do some kind of announcement with Rare, because I think they still own Rare if they haven't shut it down already. So we might see either a new project from Rare, or more likely a Killer Instinct related thing. I think they might still be working on that. What else could Microsoft sell? They might try to get an exclusive for a new Titanfall. They might try to partner with some exclusives from Ubisoft or EA or Activision. I think Activision is also going to have a E3 press conference. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was
The greatest virtue is patience.
if there was some things there, but I don't even know what games are going to be announced. We've had such a nice run of announcements since the beginning of this year. Usually there's just a glut of announcements. Now, for the past few weeks, it has been a very dry spell, but usually from the beginning of the year to E3, there's very few games. You'll have just a few that get released to make the fiscal first quarter, and then that is it. Sony will, I believe, be after Activision. I could be making all of these up as far as the orders of the announcements of E3. And what will Sony be talking about? Well, Sony is crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they said there's some kind of like new Uncharted game or something like that. There's gonna be a Last of Us talk about it. If Sony's probably gonna try to push very hard into its PlayStation VR avenue. I wouldn't be surprised if a third of their conference is games that are either PlayStation VR capable or require PlayStation VR. They might try to push movies and entertainment a little bit better. They're gonna talk about the PlayStation 4 Pro, but I don't think they're gonna announce any new hardware versions of that. So at best, I would imagine that they'll come out and say something along the lines of, we've put a software patch out for the PlayStation 4 Pro. They'll tout the number of games that can run in Pro mode. Probably. Let's play a little defensively here. What else will they announce? I imagine they'll do nothing about the PlayStation Vita on the Sony E3 post conference because the Vita only has life in Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a small movie Sony Pictures tie-in things. We will almost certainly see either in Microsoft or Sony a tie-in to some of the Marvel Disney things that are games that are in the works. Battlefront 2 will probably play prominently, I would say, either in the Microsoft or the Sony or both announcements. Activision, if it is Activision that has one of the big announcements, it's probably going to be focused heavily on that game they're still working on. What is that one called? Tom Clancy's The Division. Yeah, I suppose they're gonna say they're still working on that and they're still trying to get that done. Rainbow Six Siege Season 2, they'll probably try to push some things there too.
Let the hunt begin.
But I am not sure what else they could really announce. With as much as Sega's been doing, I wouldn't be surprised if Sega did come in and announce maybe a partnership with Microsoft or Sony for Bayonetta 3. If I was to put odds on it, I would say they would go with Sony just because the Japanese game, Japanese companies working with Japanese companies over American companies. I don't know what else though you're gonna see. Nintendo won't have an actual announcement happening at E3, but they'll have a Nintendo Direct, and I feel like the Nintendo Direct will almost certainly be a slightly more interesting announcement, because they've really got to blow it out of the park with their Switch, and more games for the Switch in total. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft, they're about the same thing these days. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that they use their new VR device that they have made for mixed reality motion controllers. They've made these motion controllers and they've released them for mixed reality headsets that are supposed to be developed by third parties. I wouldn't be surprised for a second if it turns out that they are going to try to add VR to the Project Scorpio design, and that will be slightly interesting. If that comes out, it would make all the sense in the world for Microsoft, even if they don't really care about it, to just try to steal some thunder from Sony. We've got a new guy named Travis on the chat. He's saying, "Hey Rydo, how's your weekend going?" My weekend so far is going fine. It's going great. As good as it can be. The only thing that I'm focused on right now is just trying to get more videos to release on my channel quicker. A couple weeks ago I had a cold and got really far behind, in my opinion, so now I'm getting a little worried about having things air on time, because I air something in specific time slots every Monday through Friday, and my earliest time slot is in particular for games that might be good for young kids, and that time slot in particular is in danger of not having any footage in the next month or so. I try to record everything 3 months in advance minimum would be what I want to do, because of the way YouTube works. You put something, you upload something on YouTube, somebody somewhere, whether legitimate or not, often it's not even the legitimate company, content IDs and claims that video automatically through a system. It's not like they specifically target my channel, because my channel's not big enough to target, but it gets caught in content ID, and then it takes at least 30 days for them to ignore your dispute of the content ID, and that's why it's there. Yeah. Travis says, "I had allergies myself, rip low." Yeah, it really was bad. A bad allergy cold that brought it in. Like, I'm still suffering from just having clogged ears, so I can't even record that much, because one of my ears starts hurting after a while through sinus pressure. Let's see. Is there anything else to talk about as far as E3? I'm hoping personally that E3 is going to be a lot better than it has been in the last 5 to 10 years, but I really doubt it will be. The world has just changed so much, and game announcements don't really have to be done at that specific time. So it would be nice if 2017 was the year of video games, of just tons of video games getting announced and actually coming out, and we don't see too much focus on new hardware revisions or adding VR to everything. I would prefer to actually have games and have the games be good, and so far we've done a pretty good job up to this point. The fear that I have is we're going to see kind of a slowing down for the rest of the year, but if we can just kind of maintain the pace. This year in particular is a great year for video games to increase its gap between movies, because this summer, according to industry insiders for the movie industry, is going to lose 10% of sales compared to last year, because people are just tired of unoriginal reboots and continuations of series and remakes and all of that. So that probably is gonna turn out to be a great opportunity for video games if more people this summer stay home playing video games. I don't know how many of old people that don't play games or just play games on their phone are gonna get pushed into playing consoles because there's no movies out there, but I bet there's a decent number of younger generation of people that will play 1 or 2 extra games this summer because they have the extra free time. So, for the recording, for those who are new, I've gone 30 minutes, so if you're watching live, stay tuned, but I'm going to put a little ad break in here for the recording to break them up. So, people that are watching this later on when it's recorded, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.